Good evening, welcome to 758 Sports Talk, and we have so much to get into tonight. A really jam-packed weekend in sports in St. Lucia. Of course, in the Pan American region, in the world, St. Lucia participated in a competition in Miami at the end of 1511. And of course, we brought the world boss, the world football boss to St. Lucia. And of course, we have some pictures and images of his time in St. Lucia. We'll show that to you guys very soon. Of course, later on, we'll be talking some cricket. St. Lucia Stars gone. Is that the return of the St. Lucia Zouks? Of course, lots of questions. Persons seem to not understand that contractually the St. Lucia Stars are no more. That does not mean that there is no franchise in St. Lucia. There will be a franchise in St. Lucia. CPL just pretty much reclaimed the St. Lucia franchise, and we're just not sure what the name is going to be, the nomenclature, the name, the moniker given to the St. Lucia franchise this time around. So that should be interesting. We'll be paying very close attention to that. We confirmed last week, and St. Lucia Sports Online indeed reported a couple of months ago that Darren Sammy is the captain for the St. Lucia franchise. That still obtains. Darren Sammy is in fact still the captain of the St. Lucia franchise. So a lot of persons asking questions about those things. We'll be entertaining your questions. Of course, you can send your WhatsApp questions at any time during the show. 4880929. I normally get WhatsApp questions early in the morning. It's like as soon as Monday comes on, persons are aware that 758 Sports Talk will be streaming, and so they send their questions. So you can send your questions at 4880929. Of course, later on, we're going to be opening the phone lines for you guys to send or to pretty much air your views on all matters pertaining to sport locally, regionally, and internationally. Now, St. Lucia, I am here all by my lonesome tonight, so it's just me and you guys having a conversation for the entire night. I have a couple of interviews that we are going to do via telephone. One of those interviews is going to be on the Sports Academy that is going to be opened next month in St. Lucia at the former Grosley Secondary School. That's in Beausejour. Some of us grew up in Grosley, know this area as Bellarosa, but it is called the Beausejour. So we'll be talking about that Sports Academy. We'll be touching base with an official from the ministry on how things are progressing. And of course, we will be asking him questions on the dynamics of this Sports Academy, how it will affect us going forward as a nation. So of course, a very packed night for you guys, a lot to look forward to. So don't touch that dial, all right? We have a lot to get into. Now, in case you missed it, Laverne Spencer, again, she copped the gold medal at the Pan American Games. She was the defending champion. We know for a fact that she's the #1 high jumper in the Caribbean. And now we can confirm further the #1 high jumper in the Pan American region. Very well done. We have a report. We got a report from Lima, Peru. Mr. Marius Modest sent in this report. Let's take a look.
Tom Hotel, where we have been for the past 17 days. In my last report, I predicted a win for Laverne Spencer, and so said, so done. But the win was a little technical, and only one person, chef de mission, David Shakes Christopher, can explain that.
1.87, she did 1.87, she fall off at 1.90, she cleared 1.87 the first attempt. The girl that placed second out of Antigua, she cleared on her third attempt, so the virtue of that, she automatically had the goal in hands because nobody do 1.90. I think the weather out here is a factor, preventing them from going 1.9 and even more, because as the evening get later, the temperature started to dip, and we can see they're wrapping themselves, and you can see all the semantics out there because of the condition. It's Caribbean jumpers. It's Caribbean jumpers did it 1, 2, and 3. We had St. Lucia, Antigua, and Jamaica. I really want to say congratulations to you guys. I think you did a wonderful job out here by covering all the events and St. Lucians. Could look forward to the reports when you get back home. Congratulations to Laverne, congratulations to Team St. Lucia, And congratulations to everyone back home who were on my page live seeing all the jumps. I think Lavon did us proud to defend our championship in style. We saw Jonah Shaper coming in fourth. She just missed out of a medal. But all in all, I'm really proud of these young ladies. They really represented us with vigor and valor.
Following the brief medal presentation, which was done by former president of the St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Richard Peterking, we found the two-time Pan Am high jump champion walking around, signing autographs, taking pictures, and handing out pins. She granted the first interview to members of the St. Lucian press.
It's a great feeling to defend my Pan Am title. That was one of my main goals coming into the Pan Am Games. I know it was going to be some great competition out there. A lot of people are complaining about the weather. The weather isn't the best, but I came out there with the mindset of staying positive and trying to distract or get all the negativity out of my mind. So I came prepared, knowing that it's cold. I just tried to stay warm between every jump, and I think that really helped in my competition. So I'm just thankful to God that I'm able to win another gold medal for St. Lucia.
Do you have any conversations with Janelle during the course of the event, or you just kept to yourself?
Well, we didn't really have any conversation during the competition. I spoke to her before, wishing her all the best. I think during the competition, with the coach there, we both are athletes, so I don't think it's necessary for me to be like coach and athletes, and I think that's the reason the coach being here. So, with the coach here helping both of us out, there wasn't any need for me to actually assist during the competition. So I was just trying to stay focused and try to do my best.
What expectations did you have concerning what height you'd have to clear to maybe be competitive? Did you think about that at all?
Well, I really wanted to at least try and get a season's best, or at least jump 190 and over. That didn't happen, but like I said, I'm still thankful that the weather wasn't the best. I think that really played into what the results turned out to be. But like I said, a win is a win, and I'm happy for the gold. So.
Before the end of the 2019 Pan Am Games, we will have 3 more reports. Until such time, I am Aris Modest, reporting from Lima, Peru.
All right, Mr. Marius Modest there for a full report on Lavon Spencer's exploits. Let me tell you, I could never get tired of listening to Lavon, and I could never get tired of pretty much heaping up these accolades on her. She has really continued to fly our flag high for the rest of the world to see. Doing a very good job. Every time I see her put that flag around her shoulder and she is standing supreme, I feel so much pride, and I feel so happy for this young lady. Babono, stand up, doing their thing again. High jump representing, and well done. Congratulations to Lavon Spencer. Now, for some of you out there, they may be wondering about the St. Lucia Sports Online Facebook. The new page is SAINT. We used to have STLUCIA, and some individuals are saying they're finding a little difficulty in finding us on Facebook, but it's SAINTLUCIA Sports Online for the individuals looking for us on Facebook, and you will see us live there. Of course, you could like the page, like the St. Lucia Sports Online, to keep in touch with what we are doing, and follow us, of course, on Facebook. You could definitely follow us that way, and we are also on Instagram. You could follow us there as well. We had some difficulties, and so we had to switch it up. We lost almost 13,000 followers, and so we pretty much have to start again from scratch. I'm not averse to doing that at all. The show must go on. All right, so well done, Lavon Spencer. Babono, stand up again. Albert Reynolds, first ever bronze medal for him at the Pan American Games, the current St. Lucia Sportsman of the Year, showing all of the Pan American region why he is St. Lucia's premier track and field athlete, and he won bronze. Let's take a look at that report.
It's like 15 degrees or 14 degrees Celsius, and today we are here for the finals of the javelin, and Albert Reynolds will be throwing today, so we invite you to come with us and see how he does. Before going into the javelin competition, let's hear what the 2 times Pan Am high jump champion has to say about the SLOC provided coverage.
So this time around, you know, the press has been here for the very first time for this game, so I'm really happy and thankful for the SLOC seeing the need to take them along. You know, we have HGS here, Mr. Morris, and we have the star, Mr. Dave Pascal. So I'm just really excited and happy that they were here to actually cover, you know, the jumps and the training sessions for the swimming and sailing, and I know they've been working really hard, so I just want to thank them for that and all the best for the rest of the games.
No mejorará que Sean Walco se despide el campeón de los for his 6th and final attempt at the javelin final.
First of all, Marius, I want to say congratulations to Albert. Congratulations to the coaches that work with him, especially Coach James and Coach Bailey. Congratulations to the whole of St. Lucia who had the confidence in him to get him here. We're very proud and we're very happy. The final day of the games, we pick up a bronze medal after securing the gold from Laverne. She leave the icing on the cake, and then we pick up the bronze today. So we close off our tally. 7 athletes. Yes, 7 athletes. I told them in the meeting the numbers were very significant. 7 athletes, a group of 12, 7 days a week, 12 disciples. So we must come out with something, and it works for us. We end up with 2 medals. We have a gold and we have a bronze. Gold is similar like a bronze, so we're looking very bronzy and goldy. So we're very happy, and we want to dedicate this here to St. Lucia. I want to thank the coaches. I want to thank Coach James. Philip, yeah. Philip, out of Grenada, who've been working with Albert for the past while. How long have we been working together?
3.5 years.
For 3.5 years, and really giving him the confidence to really get him moving.
It was a pleasure working with Albert. I really saw this young man as a guy having a lot of potential, and I was willing to work with Albert, whatever it is, whether it was going to be paid for or not, because I saw something in him that's very special. It's a pity that he had to cut his training short to return home, but this just gives us an insight as to what is possible for him. And I think this is a word out to St. Lucia that you should not give up on him.
A well team effort, and the team gelled together, and a lot of support came from everybody. So I'm happy that I was here, that I'm here to witness, you know, this extraordinary achievement by Mr. Reynolds. It goes to show too that when you support athletes and all the ingredients come into focus, what can happen to our athletes. And I'm so happy, and I want to congratulate him. I want to congratulate Team St. Lucia for a job well done. Congratulations.
Lovin Spencer, what do you think?
We spoke about Lovin Spencer, but I mean, I wrote to Lovin Spencer, I told her, congratulations, golden woman. You know, Lovin Spencer it's what happens when there's a true mix of blood, determination, hard work.
It's a great day for us, a great day for St. Lucia. We are happy that we're able to be here, and according to Laverne Spencer, she was very thankful for seeing us around. What do you think?
That's right. Very thankful, very accommodating too. And how about Albert Reynolds wrapping up the whole thing with a bronze medal?
Yeah, because you see, it's great for St. Lucia, and I must thank the Ministry of Sports and the Olympic Committee for having us here.
That's right.
Even if we have our little beef, but then as anything else, we can deal with that.
Yeah.
Right? And we're happy that to be here and to witness that St. Lucia get another gold.
Bronze, sorry.
Another gold. Another gold.
Okay, another gold.
But Laverne Spencer had a gold.
Okay.
So another gold.
I thought you meant to.
Plus
All right.
a bronze medal. So we're going home very heavy, and we're thankful for that. So from the National Stadium, I am Marius Modest.
David Pascal.
Adios.
Over and out.
For a while there, I thought Mr. Borders and Mr. Pascal would end up in a little box in there. Definitely one gold, one silver medal for Team St. Lucia. And I mean, anytime you're doing an interview with David Shakes Christopher, you really cannot help but just chuckle. This man is something else. His choice of vocabulary, his Shakespearean individual. Of course, we know his nickname came from his love for Shakespeare, and you could see just mixing and matching words whenever he chooses. He's very, very special, Mr. David Shakes Christopher. Congratulations, Team St. Lucia. I said in the newscast, very, very successful outing at the Pan Am Games. I cannot recall us ever coming home with a gold and a bronze and a 4th place finish. So very well done, Team St. Lucia, representing us very, very well. Babono, stand up. And of course, Janelle Shaper up north. Grosity. Well done, you guys. Stephanie Duval, Jean-Luc, all of you guys did very, very well. Y'all did your best, and of course, we appreciate your efforts for sure. On the weekend in St. Lucia for a very, very interesting time on Saturday. Let me tell you, I wish on Saturday I could have split myself, as they say, in the middle to have taken a very important wedding up north. It so happened that the flight was delayed. I'm talking about the arrival of the world boss of football, that is Gianni Infantino, visiting St. Lucia. Of course, I had to juggle Infantino coming to St. Lucia and ensuring that I tried to capture as many images as possible. Thankfully, Terry Finis there was on the deck to get most of the images. We definitely got some of the interviews for you. We featured that during the news. We still didn't get all the clips correct, so tomorrow night we're going to feature that interview again with Mr. Infantino for you guys. And, well, on Wednesday, we're going to put that into our news for you. But I had a very, very important wedding. These people said if I didn't come to the wedding, they would disown me. So daughter and Jacques Rosillet, the whole Jacques Rosillet crew, congratulations again. Very, very nice wedding, I must say. It always, let me tell you, it always does something to you when you see two people in absolute love tying the knot. It really, really gets you thinking. Gets you thinking. Don't send any WhatsApp on that. We're talking about sports. It gets you thinking for sure. Congratulations to Donna, of course, Jessica and the whole crew. Troy Greenidge, for those of you who are curious, Troy Greenidge's mom got married on the weekend. And these people like family, so you cannot not be there to take their photos for them. A very, very nice wedding. And of course, I had to pretty much go between that and back at the SLFA to make sure I get the end of the proceedings. All right, so the visit was to St. Lucia, of course, met by the president of the St. Lucia Football Association, Lyndon Cooper, and they ended with the entire executive decked out. But we're going to start our montage with the ending, and then we're going to work our way through. A very nice day, obviously. Mr. Infantino bloviated about the natural beauty that is St. Lucia. Of course, we have the images for you from that visit. Let's take a look. of course, the St. Lucia Football Association out there really enjoying their time. It was very, very, very nice and heartwarming to see individuals, officials from St. Lucia really mingling with Mr. Infantino. From all indications, very nice sense of humor, very down-to-earth man. I could understand why he is a politician at that level. For those of you who would understand, he is very warm and friendly, and of course you would understand why the world governing body would throw their support and their confidence in him, especially seeing what the world governing body went through before his tenure. And of course, we'd expect him to stay there in terms of doing what he is doing. Very nice conversation with him and the president of the Football Association. Nice interaction, as everybody could have seen. The relationship seemed to be very pleasant, and of course, it's not. What I observed was that it wasn't a passive sort of relationship. You know, many times persons are part of an organization, and somebody is up there, and the other is so low or pretty much in a different stratosphere that these persons don't interact. But clearly, Mr. Lyndon Cooper and Mr. Infantino have a very good relationship. They spoke very good about the ambitions they both have for the development of football in St. Lucia, the CONCACAF region, and indeed the world. Very, very nice weekend, of course, for our nation. All right. And of course, I have on the line Mr. Emmanuel Bellas, who is the vice president of the St. Lucia Football Association. So much going on in football. Definitely had to touch base with an official from the association. A lot going on in football. Mr. Emmanuel Bellas, how you doing, sir?
Good night, Kenton. I'm doing okay.
All right.
Good evening to all St. Lucians as well.
All right, I know if there's one individual who follows football very, very closely, well, apart from Lyndon Cooper and the rest of the guys, and Chad Daisy and the likes, and your son, of course, Coco Bellas, who pays attention to every single thing going on in St. Lucia. I think you would be probably at the top in terms of knowing what's going on. Tell us a little bit about your feelings, first of all, with having met, taken pictures with Gianni Infantino. What were your overall impressions of that activity?
But Kenton, you're making it sound as if I was on some social trip just taking off pictures with Infantino. But I think generally the visit was welcome, because you see, persons need to understand that's not the first time that Infantino came down to St. Lucia. That's his first trip to St. Lucia as president. Mm-hmm. But on the verge of his presidency during the campaign, he did come down to St. Lucia. And I can remember that President Cooper did indicate to him some of the ideas that we had. When he came down, we were housed at Laclery, up Menard Hill. Sorry, not Laclery. And even when he drove down to the airport, we looked at the area in which we wanted to establish that technical center. And all what was there was just bush. And to have told the man that you're going to build a facility there, I mean, if he didn't laugh at you, you would have wondered what's going through his mind.
Absolutely.
And to come back to St. Lucia and realize that you now have your own headquarters, and in 3 years' time, what you came down that was totally bush, you are now able to get onto that facility and try a penalty onto the Prime Minister and see the actual works in itself. So that would speak volumes for the work and the vision that the President Cooper and the St. Lucia Football Association have.
And of course, they visited the technical center, the Gold Project, the Forward Project in Grand Riviere, Dennery. They stopped for some. Let me tell you, if you be careful, anytime you're passing on that road, you must stop for that bread and butter or that bread and cheese. Let me tell you, that's bad. We saw some of the images from that, had a little chuckle about that. And of course, as you said, the head office is in Laclery, and they also visited the Sports Academy, and we'll talk a little bit with the officials from the Sports Academy a little bit later on. But generally, Mr. Bellas, tell us a little bit about your interaction with him. You must have had a couple of conversations. What were your overall impressions?
Well, I think generally, as you just mentioned, he's a pretty down-to-earth guy. I think what he does more than anything else to ensure that he's not on a level much higher than everybody else. He gives you a listening ear when there is an input that he has to make, and he speaks to you on a level that everybody can understand. And he's not someone who looks like he would play a political line with you, like make promises and it would not be kept. What we have seen from the SLFA, there are a lot of pronouncements that he has made at FIFA level, and it has benefited a lot of countries, including St. Lucia. So we have no doubt whatever he promised, for want of a better term, to the SLFA, based on what he has seen and our progress and some of the programs that we have, I am very confident that whatever it was discussed with President Cooper is going to come to fruition.
Absolutely, and he did speak on the progress of St. Lucia, and he said that he paid very close attention to St. Lucia as they performed as the challenge in Miami, the under-15 team. He said that from all indications that team has been doing well, and it speaks volumes about the progress St. Lucia has made in terms of the football infrastructure, in terms of the programming, in terms of competition. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think generally persons must see, I mean, when President Cooper a few years ago indicated that he would have de-emphasized senior football, persons would think that he had some level of insanity. But I think now we're beginning to see the wisdom in that decision, because our under-15 having won the second division, our under-14 girls, I mean, tied for first place in Cayman's, albeit goal difference. Our under-20 females qualified for the second round, and we have a lot of youth programs going on. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been general satisfaction with the way some of our youth teams have been performing. What has to happen is to ensure that we get the transition right when we move from youth on to under-20, on to under-23, and at the senior level.
Absolutely. Talking about the youth team, 3 St. Lucians were named in the CONCACAF Under-15 Boys Division 2 team of the tournament. Midfielder Damani Bofia, forward Keegan Call, defender Shaquan Prudent. Very, 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 very good young men performing for St. Lucia. St. Lucia also scored 13 goals in 5 matches. In Florida, they considered only 5. Very well done by Team St. Lucia. Of course, what can we look forward to from that team, Mr. Bellas?
Well, I mean, as I said, it has to be a matter of transition. But persons must understand, yes, in as much as that team has won the under-15, we must also, if you go back to last year, I think that team has played about 10 or 11 games unbeaten.
11.
So that speaks volume. But we cannot just mention the team without mentioning the technical staff.
Absolutely.
Coach Vaso, we have to tip our hat to Coach Vaso. He's done a tremendous job, he and his technical staff, in keeping that together. Our next move with that team is to get ready for under-17 World Cup qualifiers. You give them some rest and see what can come, what it is that we have to do in terms of putting a proper program in place for these guys. Because yes, we're always talking about continuity when teams do well, but I think now there is not a decision. We don't have a choice. Because when you move from under-14 to under-15 to under-17 to under-20 to under-23, so you must ensure that the programs are there to consistently help these guys to work on their level of improvement.
Absolutely, because this is the generation. I think a couple of years ago we had another 17 team go within about 2 games away from making the World Cup, and we definitely see another crop, the likes of Donovan Phillip from Marcia into that squad, the likes of Dania Carew, Shaquan Nelson as a captain, of course a charismatic leader, Jalil Evans from Grozley. That crop is who we will look out for. I'm not saying that we're not going to concentrate on our current crop, but really and truly we need all of corporate St. Lucia especially to continue to contribute, and if they've been contributing, contribute even more towards the development of that young team, Mr. Bellas. And the females, not too shabby. First time at the under-14 level, finishing second in their group. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, well, but let me just go back to the under-15 before I come to that, because a lot of persons give credit to the players, but I am telling you, the parents of these under-15 boys are even more passionate than the boys themselves, and they have to be given credit for the amount of support that they have given to the SLSC. As to our under-14 girls, I think the performance was tremendous, because we had a set of goals that we were skeptical about when we initially got them, but we realized that they really wanted to put the all into it. They went out with Coach Dennis, Coach Vance, and I think they had creditable performance. You played 3 games, you did not lose any, albeit you won 1 and drew 2, but that is better than the other teams in the group. So what has to happen now is to put a structure in place, continue the program with these girls, because that team is expected to be our under-15 team in preparation for CONCACAF under-15 next year.
All right, Mr. Bella. So, of course, before you leave, you fought South. You know, I can't let you leave without giving you a little poke. Let me tell you, that Island Cup, is not a T20. It's not a One International. And I tell people that Russian message me and they're like, yes, if you fought lose, you have to. Let me tell you, calm down. This is. I mean, in the Premier League teams, top teams lose all the time. And that's what I say. I mean, I wouldn't hasten to say anything, but signature win for Canaries in that competition.
Yes, I think, credit has to go to them. I think they really came out last night. I'm not taking anything away from them, and I do not think I want to put too much pressure on the V4 team. Granted that we lost the game because we did not capitalize on our opportunities, but it is early days. That's one step back, because every time you lose the game, you have to think harder for your next game. But I'm kind of happy with the format of the tournament. Mm-hmm. In each group you play 7 or 8 games. You have 4 teams going through, then you have your own. So there is a lot of football. So like they say in Patois, Bev Duvan, we're glonet. But they also say Kudu Vapaku. So it means we have to see what has to happen. Now that we have lost, what it would force us to do is to go back to the drawing board and understand that complacency is not what is going to get you to win a competition, but it has to be consistency. And football is played on the field, on the day. So it's not a matter of which team that you come up against, but it's a matter of how best you perform on that day.
Absolutely. Very well said. Of course, thank you so much again, Mr. Emmanuel Bellas, for all your information. Of course, avid lover of all sports. I always tell Zelusha, Mr. Emmanuel Bellas was my cricket coach. All of a sudden, when he stopped taking football. But anyway, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Bellas. All the best.
Thank you, man, Kenzo.
All right. That was Mr. Emmanuel Bellas, Vice President of the St. Lucia Football Association. So much going on in football in St. Lucia at every single level, male and female. And let me tell you, a lot has to be said about that. Keep up the hard work, all of you guys. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we will have our cricket discussion, and we have so much more to get into. We'll be right back. right, welcome back to 758 Sports Talk, and we're having a lovely discussion tonight. We're touching base with a number of individuals in the sporting fraternity. A lot has been going on at cricket. A lot of discussion has been going on as it pertains to cricket, a lot of discussion as it pertains to discipline, a lot of discussion as it pertains to fines, and pretty much implementing the laws of the game and ensuring that persons stay in line in terms of, conducting themselves in a way that is palpable for all and sundry. Another discussion that we've had over the last couple of months is the selection of national teams, the selection of individuals on trials, especially. Of course, I had my little conversation about Ryan Goodman not being given not even a trial match at the under-19 level after playing for the Windward Islands. And now I've identified another individual that has performed creditably, to say the least, in our domestic competition and has not been given a call-up. We read a press release last week with a number of individuals being called for trials for the St. Lucia national team for the Windward ahead of the Windward Islands Senior Cricket Tournament. And one of the names absent is Vidal Crandon. Now, for those of you who've been following local sports, especially, let's just look at the SPL. You may say SPL is T20, but it's certainly the most recent barometer we have had to pretty much provide any level of analysis for how individuals have been performing with the bat in St. Lucia. So devoid from that, I'm not sure how you could select a national trial squad of 20-odd individuals. And the second, I guess I'll ask him because I have him on the line, the second or third highest run scorer in that competition is not even given a trial match. There's something significantly wrong with that for me. So, I don't know. I have on the line Mr. Vidal Crandon. He is not in St. Lucia. He has a short stint in Guyana. Of course, Mr. Crandon played for the Knights in the recently completed SPL, a couple of half centuries. Mr. Crandon, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not doing too bad. I think from some indications I'm doing a little better than you. Of course, not being given a call for the St. Lucia trial squad. Let's talk a little bit about your performance. Tell us a little about your performance of late in local competition.
Well, I've been performing well throughout the years, including this year in the local competition. Well, this year they had a 50-over competition where I did pretty good. I had a couple of good scores. I had a 100 against Barbano, a half century against South Castries, and a few other good scores, which I think should at least give me a shot at national trials.
Wow. And of course, the SPL you represented, and people don't say it's because of, but you represented Grosley. And tell us a little bit about your performances and some of the actual awards that you got for that competition.
Okay, throughout the SPL tournament, it was a really nice tournament where I did good again. I got the man of the match against South Castries. I think I scored 59 in that game.
That was in Grosley, right?
Over South Castries.
Mm-hmm.
I did pretty well against Beaufort North Raiders. I got another good score, 30-something, and about 40-something against Monrepo. I think, yes, Monrepo. Well, that got us straight through to the semi-finals in the SPL tournament.
Yeah, I remember some of the reports. Of course, you were one of the pivotal players in terms of getting your team into the semi-finals, finishing in the top four finish. And I sometimes wonder if the selection panel, if they're actually going around paying attention to what's going on, because as far as I remember, you were hitting that ball from the middle of the bat, except for that time against South Castries where I thought you were half blinded because you were missing some of them. But generally speaking, clean hitter of the ball. Of course, I don't think there's any question about your commitment towards the game. So tell us a little bit about what it's been like for you when that list came out and your name was not called.
Well, it was a bit disappointing not seeing my name on the list because I was expecting to see it there because I performed pretty well. So I was expecting to see a call-up. But since I didn't see anything, I was wondering what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit disappointing for me, actually.
All right, so is there any process where you could have called, or did you call anybody, or you found out who the selectors were, pretty much to present your case and see, what is going on, at least, whether or not you could just get at least a trial match to see what happened? Or did you just accept it as that?
No, well, I saw the post on the St. Lucia Cricket page where I left a message asking the local selectors who selected the national trial squad to at least let me know what's going on. What was the reason why I didn't get a call up to the trial game? So I was wondering what's up, but no one hasn't got back to me yet. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if anybody's going to respond to me actually.
Wow, I think your case is unique in the sense that, the competitions that we've had, you've definitely outperformed, just based on the competitions, you've outperformed most of the individuals called. Now, that is not to say that the individuals called in previous times have not made a national team or had creditable scores or performances, but it is just very, very strange that you've not been called up, and I remember seeing that and wondering what is going on. So what is next for you, Vidal? You must be disappointed. What is next for you? What is your next course of action? What's going to happen from henceforth?
Well, I'll keep pushing forward. Like my mom always say, it's not the end of the road. You can keep going, push forward, leave everything in the hands of God, and you never know what could happen. So I'm just going to push forward and see what happens. I'm not going to give up, so I'm going to push forward.
All right, so certainly we'll be following you very closely. We have a number of other things to get into tonight. I wish you all the best. Keep doing your thing. I must say I was very, very impressed with some of your innings this year. And hopefully we could see that you continue to persist, because let me tell you, a lot of individuals go through those stages in life. And you would have to just continue to work hard and prove yourself again.
Yes, sir, indeed.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Vidal Crandon. Of course, a very, very good season for you, and hopefully you get in on the team very soon.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
All right, that was Vidal Crandon, of course, opening batsman, playing very well, having a very good season in the SPL, and of course, indeed, as he mentioned, the 50-over competition. That is pretty much the only competition that we've had over the last year. Of course, most of those games in the 50-over competition, if you remember, they were then moved from 50 to less overs due to certain situations, either lateness of teams, umpires, unavailability of pitches, or rain. So we moved from having a 2-day competition. I remember growing up, Piton Bear was a top cricket competition in St. Lucia. You look forward to playing that competition and hopefully scoring and doing well enough to make the national team. But that has not been the way things are going. Hopefully things get a lot better in time to come and we can find out what is going on. All right, another incident that we've been following closely in the cricket world. I remember being on Vibe Radio and a message was sent to the platform about a situation with the defending champions of the South Castries Cricket League. Of course, a very exciting league, one of the leagues that persons look out for and intend to play in. And I remember seeing a press release later on from the South Castries Cricket Association indicating that as a result of an incident which occurred on the field, that some of the individuals, including the likes of Stephen Natram, who is a former national cricketer, a wicket-keeper batsman, was given a fine, an alternative, a fine or $150 fee, given a 60-day period to actually pay the fine and, risk being suspended if he didn't. The Qatars have subsequently, from most indications, I've had different conversations and persons have said from that radio interview that only one side of the story came out, and I felt it was only necessary to give them the opportunity to shed some light on the situation. All right, so tonight I have with me the manager of the defending champions, the Forestier Qatar. A very interesting name. The Forestier Qatar is a team that has been doing very well in cricket. And of course, I remember Good Friday going over to the Forestier area and enjoying some really nice cricket in that community. And we have Ja, as they call him, nicknamed Ja for Jawa here, Janil Jawa here, who's the manager of the team on the phone. How are you doing, sir? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Good evening.
Yes, so for those of us who do not know, tell us exactly what was the situation with the Qatars and what actually happened that resulted in a suspension for some of your players.
Okay, based on what the news I got from my players, because I was not actually at the game, I also received an email on the 30th of July from the South Castries Cricket Association saying that, from the president, stating that there was an altercation, verbal words were sent between a spectator and three of my players, Stephen Nitram, Ron Gulaman, and Travis John.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes, in that letter, it also said that since this was brought to the attention of the association, pending a disciplinary hearing, the three of them were suspended until the disciplinary hearing, the 6th of August.
Uh-huh.
We went to the hearing, Stephen Nitram, Ron Gulaman, myself, and a witness. Mr. John could not make it because of personal reasons. We gave our side. We said what happened. Like Mr. Nitram indicated that whilst he was on the playing field, being sick, he wasn't even cleared to play the game, but he played because we were short of players. The passion of my players, that's what they do. He played the game ill, so he could not take his proper wicket-keeping stance. So he was not looking like a proper wicket-keeper. A spectator find fault in the way he was wicket-keeping and started giving him remarks while he was on the field. It went on for over 30 minutes. The spectator kept on abusing him verbally, using words I would not mention.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mr. Nitram, short-sighted I might say, he took it up on his own to take on the spectator, but then when realizing that he's a bigger man, he stopped and the spectator continued. During the water break, the spectator came across to the players' pavilion and still attacked Mr. Nitram.
Mm.
Two of my players, the other two who got suspended, did not like it because Forest Qataris is not just a team, but we are a family.
Mm-hmm.
If you're attacking one person, you're attacking the whole team. So two of my other players took it upon their own to verbally abuse the spectator also, which is wrong. I'm not condoning it.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong. They did that, and that was what happened. So we went to the disciplinary hearing on the 6th of August. We gave exactly what I told you happened there. That's what we told them. We were asked to step out for wait for the results over 30 minutes. Then we got the results from the disciplinary hearing. My players were already suspended before the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 games they could not play before the hearing. So when they got the result, they used the other word. They said they banned my players. The 3 players were banned for 2 games, and each of them were fined. Stephen Nitram was fined $150, and the other 2 players were fined $100 each to pay within 60 days. It was not either fine or ban. It was both. Both was done at the same time. So after they were banned for both games,
mm-hmm.
for 2 games, they were fined each. 2 players are fined $100, and Stephen Nitram is fined $150. Yes. So I then asked the disciplinary committee, if my players were already suspended and they already had missed 2 games, why ban them for another 2 games again?
Mm-hmm.
They said, well, you get it wrong. There's a word ban and suspended. They were suspended. Now here's the verdict. They were banned for 2 games. So realizing that my players were disgruntled and things, we played 1 game without Mr. Nitram and the other players. Then the other game, because of other things we were hearing and things, and we were short of players on that day, Mr. Nitram was on the playing field. He played a game which he was not supposed to play, but he gave the umpire in standing his players list, and both captains had no issue with it. Then we get in a call that we were playing banned players in a tournament, suspended players in a tournament. I tell him, well, I told the president at that time, if the umpire who is in charge of the game has no problem with it, well, I don't have no problem with it. Then he tell me, well, the umpire will write a match report. Why should the umpire write a match report allowing players to play, then writing a report saying these players played? It doesn't make sense. You understand? So that's our issue. We withdraw from the tournament. We were supposed to play another match to go to see where we were, either if we were making the Final Four or anything like that. I believe we had made the Final Four, but because of all the problems, we withdraw from the tournament and everything, and that's where we stand. We're waiting next year. Hopefully, we'll go to the tournament again. My players are disgruntled. Everything they do, this is the only tournament they play. Mm-hmm. Unlike other players who play, that's the only tournament they play as a team. That's the only tournament they represent Forest here. That's the only tournament they get a chance to be together to play. And well,
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jawahir. Was there a, before the tournament, I want to say standing operation procedure, or were there rules and regulations governing codes of conducts and that sort of thing for the competition that spoke to exactly the repercussions for certain actions and it spoke to all of that you guys were aware of, or there's a document guiding that South Castries Cricket League?
A good thing you asked that question, Mr. Kazimi. Before my players were suspended, as they said, and we were called for a disciplinary hearing, I was not aware of any of these things. It's when I asked for one, because he said at the beginning of each tournament, one was issued to each team. I'm the manager of the team, and I've never received one. It's only when I asked one, we received one at the day of the hearing. You see all what you're asking for? That on the day of the hearing, we received that.
So are you aware of any other team or this document being distributed to any other team or in previous years, or do you have any previous knowledge of that document which has that code of conduct for that competition?
The only time I was aware of that is when I asked for it. That's what I can say about it.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, you see, again, when we had the telephone interview, you would hear one thing, and that is why I gave you all the opportunity to clear the air, because from the reports we were reading what the release was from the South Castries Cricket Association. Now I have the actual the actual release. It says the South Castries Cricket Association Disciplinary Committee met on Tuesday to preside over a report regarding 3 Forester players and a spectator during the match Millet versus Forester on Saturday, 20th July. Following just under 45 minutes of discussion and cross-examination of the committee, the committee returned with the verdict that the 3 players acted in a manner unbecoming of cricketers, hence bringing the game into disrepute. As a result, the Travis John and Ron Gullerman shall be fined $100 each, be paid within 60 days. The 2 players shall also serve a 2-match ban. Now, for me, when I see that, I am wondering legally, as you said, should that have read a 4-match ban? Because in all honesty, it would amount to 4 matches, because he had already served 2 matches from what you're saying. Stephen Matram shall be fined $150 to be paid within 60 days and serve a 2-match ban. A letter of caution be written to the management of the Forester cricket team regarding the behavior of the players during matches played in the ongoing South Castries Cricket Association T20 competition. The management of the Forester cricket team should explore the possibility of seeking counseling for the 3 players involved in the incident, and by extension the balance of the team. It does sound, Mr. Jawahir, that there is some concern as it pertains to conduct, because you put it eloquently on television that some verbal abuse obtained or could, but from what I was told, that it was indeed very, very ugly on both sides. What can you say?
I will not deny it. I was not there. I cannot see what was said. As I said, I only got the information on the night after the game happened.
Yes,
but according to what you say, I will not lie and say that did not happen. But that is what has been said, and that's what happened. So.
Is there a sense that the South Castries Cricket Association, because I've heard it on multiple times, multiple players have stopped me and said, targeted. They feel targeted. They feel targeted. Is there that feeling amongst your teammates? Because there was also talk about officials, your cricketer being under verbal abuse for over half an hour, and I've heard half an hour from more than one player, and officials from the South Coast Cricket Association say nothing about it, because that has been a concern even in the English Premier League. Verbal abuse to players is a big concern for individuals, and most times it's almost like the burden of or the responsibility is only on the player, and it seems like there is an imbalance. But what are your thoughts?
My thoughts exactly. I think, according to what I heard, the president was situated next to the guy who was verbally abusing, and instead of trying to calm the issue, I heard he was laughing. That's what was told to me. Yeah, so I mean, and afterwards I'm getting a letter the players are suspended and all this, and this does not look good for the league and everything. I understand, but I mean, if you're there, you're a man with a lot of respect and things, you could have controlled that situation. You could have calmed that situation down in the best of cricket, in the betterment of cricket. It should not have been gone. It should not have taken that far. If you're there and you could have handled the situation.
Let me tell you, for my entire life, I've heard people use being stands, and especially at football games, you had a B word, referee B. You know what I'm talking about. You had those abuses over and over and over. And many times the players, it almost seems like we've had a culture where a player is supposed to accept it and the burden is on the player to ignore and that sort of thing. I've debated that in my mind, because I'm just not sure how fair it is for when the player reacts. It almost seems like the player is just not a human being with any level of feelings.
That's exactly my point. We have to realize that the players are human beings also, and they're getting affected by these stuff.
Yeah, but I've gone through that, and I could tell you I did not react the way your players did. I can just the level of self-control is required by an athlete, and of course you need to know that you have some responsibility. But I think at the end of the day, in St. Lucia, I think it is really bad because of our patois culture, because some of the other words that I used, they could be really offensive, and I think half an hour of it would tick anybody off. I cannot ever admit to getting half an hour of it, so I cannot tell you how I would react, because I've never actually experienced it. But thank you so much. Before you leave, I really wanted to touch on the fact that you guys have decided to pull out of the competition altogether. What's next for y'all?
Well, what's next for us? We're hoping that any other competition that is out there, we can partake in. We partake in if we're allowed to partake in. We love cricket, and at the end of the day, cricket has lost since the Qatar House wouldn't be able to defend their title. Everybody knows 2 years in a row we've won it undefeated.
Yeah. I've been reading that, but I will not agree that you all had a decision to be suspended and you're still at players playing. That if you're a band, if people want you to play the competition, an individual player, you're not supposed to play pretty much. Well, thank you so much for the clarity on your end. I'm pretty sure we'll hear a little bit more about this situation, but I really think you guys should stay together and see if you could get an appeal, because it does sound like on some level, even reading the letter, that it says a too-much ban, but in actuality, I mean legally, I'm not a lawyer, but legally it does seem to be a 4-match ban, and of course a fine of $100 and then $150. I've heard the conversation about, they're not paying us in that competition, yet still they fine us. Again, it speaks to whether or not there were terms and conditions and rules for the competition. So,
well, based on the rules and regulations we got, it's in it, so they're not violating anything by doing it. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I can't say they're wrong in doing it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and all the best for the Qataras.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right. That was Mr. Jawahir of the Forester Qataras, defending champions. Well, we're going to have a new champion in the South Castries Cricket League, because they're out of the competition. I really hope that these things are addressed. Some of those issues are addressed. I think verbal abuse to players, I think that has to stop in St. Lucia. I was in Babonneau, and a couple of times I heard referee You know what I'm talking about. And it's a fun thing. It's something that is fun for some reason for a lot of individuals, and they enjoy doing it, but I do not think it is fair. All right, we'll take our final break. When we come back, we have one individual to get in touch with. Hopefully we can still get in touch with this individual because we wanted to do it really early, and just immediately after we'll just open the lines to just hear from you guys. We want to get an interview on the Center of Excellence, the Sports Academy in St. Lucia, so don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to 758 Sports Talk. And I did get a message from Stephen Natrum, who is one of the individuals involved in the little minor dispute with the South Castries Cricket Association. And the note reads, during the game against Millet, a spectator from the stands just started throwing insults at me. Not feeling well, but still deciding to play. But I still decided to play, and he was throwing words at me for no reason. I do not know the guy or why he just decided to attack me verbally. He went about saying that I will never make it. I don't respect the game. I exchanged words with him for a few minutes and then said to myself, I am better than this, and stopped answering him. He then came down from the stands and went to the stands next to the tournament organizer, South Castro's president, operations manager with the St. Lucia National Cricket Association, and still continued to insult me. And to my amazement, Mr. Calix was laughing and smiling with the guy like he was enjoying what the guy was saying. This is at least 15 to 20 minutes of the guy continually throwing insults at me. There was a water break after 10 overs. Two other players from the team took on the guy because they were really annoyed by the guy continually insulting me without letting up. After the break, he continued to throw insults, now targeted at the whole team for roughly 10 minutes, and then he left. To the relief of everyone on the field. As a cricketer, this is my first time being targeted personally by a spectator during a game, which took me by surprise. In not knowing how to deal with this sort of situation, I answered the guy without realizing that it was that was happening. In other words, a brain fade, to quote the Australians. I have already admitted and accepted that I was wrong in my action. Stephen Neutron. Wow. All right, of course we have to deal with those issues in terms of just balancing what happens at playing fields. We need to continue to have that discussion. I think that's a discussion we need to continue to have, and I guess you continue to Vibe Radio tomorrow. I suspect we'll have some more information on what happened on that day in terms of having both sides of the story. Now, we said we were going to have a discussion. Of course, the discussion around St. Lucia is the opening of the center, the Sports Academy up north in Beausejour. And to have that little discussion, we have 15 minutes. I guess Junior will still allow us to take some calls after. Is the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Mr. Kendall Kodra. How you doing, sir? Thank you so much for staying up with us. I know you like your sports, so that's not a problem, right?
That's fine, Kesman. Good evening to you.
All right. Yes. So just give us a general overview for St. Lucians who have not heard on what the Sports Academy is all about.
Okay. Thank you, Kenson. Just to let you know, overall, for a number of years now, even at the regional level, more so at the regional level, we have been discussing centers of excellence. And over the past 2 years, we have zoomed in St. Lucia on two areas that we said we would have focused on. This is the Center of Excellence for Arts and the Center of Excellence for Sport. Mm-hmm. Now, with the National Sports Strategy coming on board, the Center of Excellence Sports took off very quickly. And so over the past 2 years, we have done much work in terms of putting together this model for the National Sports Academy, or as we know it now, the St. Lucia Sports Academy, formerly what we know as the Grozile Secondary School.
So, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Kodra. Sorry.
Yes. So the Center of Excellence, or the National Sports Academy, is going to open officially the first day of school, that is September 2nd, 2019. And this program, we are starting off this program with two main disciplines. Well, actually three. We're starting off with football, cricket, and we are bringing on board athletics. When we started the discussion, the Football Association came in very early. They were very excited about it, and they came right on board, giving us the support. The Cricket Association came on board also shortly thereafter and indicated to us that the students, the under-15 teams, they had been speaking with them, including the parents, and they were all excited of being part of the Sports Academy.
Okay.
All right. So right now, the first cohort, we are going to start off with football and cricket. Now, there are a number of athletics. The Grozile Secondary School had a very good athletics program running. And we decided to continue with this athletics program at the Sports Academy in this first year. So that is really where we're at in terms of the Sports Academy.
All right. So for the benefits of those who are hearing this for the first time, in terms of recruitment, how are individuals going to be filtered into the Sports Academy, and of course, how is the school going to filter through this in terms of the Form 4s, the Form 5s who've already selected the subjects and recruiting for the Form 1s, 2s, and the 3s?
Right. So as I hinted earlier on, we already have a cohort of students which are going to commence the sports program at the school. And these are the students from the National Under 15 Football and Cricket Association. So far, we have registered roughly 40 students to partake in this first cohort. So they are going to be residing actually on dormitories that will be, or that they are currently being constructed on site at the compound. For this to happen, the Form 1s, 2s, and 3s were transferred to other schools in the near vicinity. The Form 4s and 5s, since they would have already selected their CSEC subjects and they were in the middle of the program, we agreed that we would not want to disrupt the program at this time and put them at any levels of discomfort. So we decided, we agreed that we keep the Form 4s and 5s there to continue with the normal program. So the Form 4s and Form 5s remain, and the Forms 1 to 3, they have already been reassigned to other schools in the nearby areas.
Okay, so what happens later on if a child is probably developing in terms of sports at a slower pace than somebody at the under 15 level?
Okay, well, we have brought on board the Ministry of Youth Development and Sport. They are quite on board with us. So in terms of support to the athletes, well, we have the sporting teams which are already on board. Looking at the academic side of it, we have students who are registered coming from a number of schools around the island, from as far down out to Soufrière. We have Leon Hess Comprehensive. We have Babono Secondary. So the academic performance, the ranges are ranging. So what we have done to not disadvantage any of the students, we are going to have two streams of students. Those students who are already advanced, we would have them in one stream, and those who are not well advanced, we have them in another stream. But still, we provide academic support at all levels. So, for example, the classes that they're at, because of the numbers that we have, the classes would be small. Further to that, on evenings, there's an academic support program that is going to be undertaken that would assist those students to further enhance their academic capabilities.
But just for clarity, at the end of it all, you will still be writing the same CSEC examination.
Oh, certainly. The students will be writing the CSEC examinations. In fact, we are also enhancing the CVQs at the schools, and we are also preparing the students to write SATs and ACT exams. So these exams would also, what it would do, it would position the students to receive scholarships from universities, especially in the United States, looking at Europe also. So right now we have our HRD unit is currently, in fact for a while now we have been engaging universities in all areas, but our focus now will be a lot towards sports, looking for scholarships for our students and so forth.
So let me ask you, how much say does the actual parent of the student or the student athlete have in whether or not they attend the sports academy? Is it a situation where the ministry decides or the parent decides, at the end of the day, I want my child to go to Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School and not the sports academy? Where is this line drawn?
Okay, well, in this first instance, we did not force anyone to be part of the sports academy. Actually, the Football Association, the Cricket Association had engaged the parents. They were all excited. They came on board willingly. Actually, 2 weeks ago, we met with the parents, and they were all excited to move forward with the sports academy. And actually, even now, we are getting more. I think we are starting off initially with boys, but now the girls are showing a keen interest in becoming part of that academy. So in this first instance, we have gotten the parents were all excited, so they willingly brought in their students. Moving forward, we are actually starting from September, October, thereabout. We will be having further discussions on a mechanism of recruiting students.
And with that mechanism, I guess, is it a situation where the parents would still have a say in terms of whether or not the child attends the academy? Because I guess you can answer that question by answering this other question. What is the entry requirement for a student athlete? Okay, do you make the under 15 squad at a particular age? Because you say we'll work with the different associations, but is there an entry level? Is there a level of, because right now we know we have the common entrance. What would be the requirement of an individual attending the sports academy?
Okay, in terms of the entry requirement, as I told you, this mechanism, the first cohort, they were kind of already pre-selected. Moving forward, we have not really formalized how this come through, but there will be an application process with certain criteria, because at the end of the day, we would want to be producing a set of elite athletes, and those persons who are going to be part of this academy, we want those persons to be well-rounded in terms of academics, sports. Discipline is especially critical for us, because these students we know will be represented at international, regional competitions. And these are some other things that we would be looking for. Speaking with the coaches, the PE teachers at schools, to find out so there will be an interview process. We will be doing the background research for the prospective students moving forward.
So, Mr. Kodra, again, we have to do this because we are moving from step to step. From what you were saying, this year we are bringing this in, and then we're going to be moving incrementally. Say, for instance, a student initially is a student athlete, and by Form 3, you realize that because this happens, that you're not all that into sports anymore, and you want to get transferred to a school that is more strictly academic and more with the pace of what you want to do. What happens?
Okay, well, let me give you two options there, Kenton. Yes, this is a sports academy. We're looking for athletes also, but the program is not limited to a student becoming an athlete. There are other areas in the sporting discipline that a child may well be inclined towards. We have sports journalism, sports medicine,
kinesiology,
umpiring, and all of the others that a student may very well be inclined towards. If a parent or a student feels like this is not what they really want moving forward, there's always the option of transferring to another school. So these options, we keep these options open at this time.
All right, and of course with consultation. And of course, Mr. Kodra, the question that everybody is asking, especially in terms of competitions, what is going to happen to the track and field competition, what is going to happen to the cricket competition, what is going to happen to the football competition this semester coming, because we start in the next semester. This term coming, because we're starting these competitions very soon. Most of it, but track and field is in the second term. Cricket, I remember cricket under 15 was moved in the first term, but again might be in the second term. What's going to happen?
Yeah, well, this has been at the forefront of discussion from 2017 when we actually started this drive, and they were varying views, but we have agreed at the end to not allow the students of the academy to participate in the national track and field, the national event where they compete against the school.
Oh, the school's event.
Right. So we have agreed on this for a number of reasons, including, for example, you have the national teams. For example, the national football team. Let's say playing against Leon Hess or St. Mary's College of Newport Comprehensive, and you can imagine what it would feel like if St. Mary's College, for example, beats the national team.
It's going to be like 12-0, I can tell you. The national team will beat them like 12-0 because most of the national players would be at the sports academy if it is working out theoretically the way you want it to.
Yes, yes. But so what we're going to do is allow those students to participate in the school in the sport activities from the school in the schools where they are transferred from. So a student who previously was at Super Comprehensive, we would allow the student to continue to participate on the teams at Super Comprehensive.
Okay, all right. Well, we have a number of other questions. Mr. Sokoudra, I will send out an extended invitation for you and for your entire team. Let's make it happen. Let's get you on set so we can continue the discussion. I'm going to block out next Monday for us to continue the discussion, and we can have so many more questions. You've answered most of them. I can tell you there was the one that you did not answer, but we don't have time to get in that tonight. But very good, very, very, very thankful for you coming on and explaining it to us. All right, so we're blocking out next Monday. Get a representative, come on set. Let's do this discussion. Let's continue the discussion so that we have total clarity before the term starts.
Yeah, actually, just to let you know, we had spoken with the Ministry of Youth Development and Sport, and even our own team members, and we had agreed to make that. We would be all in full house to have that further discussion. So the persons in the various specializations would be there to have some further discussion.
Absolutely. All right, Central Industry, there you have it. We will be discussing school sports, specifically the school sports academy up north in its entirety. We're going to have that discussion with individuals from both sort of implementing institutions, youth development and sports and education. We will do that next Monday. We'll schedule that. We'll make that happen. Thank you so much, Mr. Koudra, for your time.
All right, thanks, Kenton.
All right, that was Mr. Kendall Koudra. Of course, he's part of he's the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, and we're going to see the Sports Academy come on stream next month. We have time to take a few calls. We don't have time to take a few calls, but we will take a few calls if you guys have anything that you want to get out of or get off your chest. 451-9788 is the number to call. 451-9788. And 4880929 is the number to send your WhatsApp messages on. All right. Yes, so you could call us 451-9788, 4880929 if you have any questions. All right. I have a couple of messages there on the platform. Right. I guess that question was answered in terms of the entry requirements. So that is definitely put in place. All right, so what we'll do is we'll just wait until next Monday. I guess we will have the individuals on set, and we will get that done. All right, thank you so much tonight, St. Lucia. Thank you so much. We really got to discuss a number of issues pertaining to sports in St. Lucia, and we've seen some messages coming in now, but we'll do that next week. All right. Thank you to our different callers who provided clarity on developments in the various sporting disciplines. Thank you to all of you who continually support DBS Sports and St. Lucia Sports Online. Take the opportunity, take the time, go to St. Lucia Sports Online, like the page SAINTLUCIA Sports Online, and you will be able to keep in touch with all our latest breaking stories. We are following the developments in CPL very closely, and we are following a number of other developments closely for you guys. So like St. Lucia Sports Online on Facebook. I know you might say that you've done it before, but this is a different Facebook page. Do it again for you to get your information. All right, on behalf of our entire sports team, I'm Kenson Gasbury. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.